Our Pens poll last week, which Penguins defenseman is most likely to be traded this season? Brian Dumoulin tied for the lead in this poll with 42% with P.O. Joseph. So Dumoulin, the first pairing defenseman that was replaced by Joseph, are both at 42%. Not a good sign if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins that the fans are wanting both of the guys that have played on your top pairing out already. But Marcus Pettersson gets 13% of the vote. Chad Ruhwedel gets 3% of the vote. I want to start with Chad Ruhwedel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty obvious that there's no benefit to trading Chad Ruhwedel other than opening up a spot for maybe a Mark Friedman or Ty Smith. I would think Friedman more likely because that's a healthy scratch spot, and you don't want to just have a young guy in Smith riding the pine for as long as Ruhwedel does on occasion. So I understand why nobody voted for Chad Ruhwedel.
Yeah, no, that one makes a lot of sense. The only thing you really do get back is you do open up a little cap space. You do have that's not even a lot of cap space because you have to immediately fill it.
Yeah.
You maybe get a late draft pick. Yeah, you ain't getting much. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect him to get traded, especially considering he just re-signed that deal.
Mm-hmm.
We think too highly of Chad Ruhwedel to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I refrained from answering this question on Twitter just because I knew the answer that I would give then would change by now, and I was right. I think, because I don't think I would have given you an answer then, but now as I look at the clauses and the players, I think we keep Joseph around. I hope we keep Joseph around. And I hope Brian Dumoulin's the one that gets the axe. I don't know who we replace him with. I have no idea who we replace him with. But like I said early on in this episode, maybe about 50 minutes ago, Marcus Pettersson looks damn good and damn fast.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? If this season progresses the right way for him, he could slot in as the one lefty to me.
So you could see a Penguins defense core on the left side that goes Pettersson, P.O., and Ty Smith.
It's horrifying, I know, but yes, it's horrifying. It is scary.
And notice I put Ty Smith in there over Mark Friedman and over Chad Ruhwedel.
Oh, yeah, that's exact. Yep. Yep, that's exactly what I had.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, listen, the way Pettersson's been playing, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility, and they're seeing P.O. Joseph play up there. I thought he's been okay this season. I want to see an extended period of time with him and Letang, and if that works out, then you have two options there, and what use do you have for Brian Dumoulin? The only problem is, and you have it up, pretty sure it's a modified no-trade clause for Brian Dumoulin and his $4.1 million cap hit.
It's modified. I'm trying to figure out what kind here. I believe it is... I wish I could figure it out. I wish I could find it.
I believe he has a 10-team no-trade list. Without looking into it further, I believe that's what it is.
10. It is 10, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 10-team no-trade list. Yeah, I mean, because you look at you trade him off to a team as a rental because he's on his last year. I don't know what kind of rental he could use. It's not like he's one of those big names that gets traded out for a rental, but I don't know. I've just had it. It's cooked. It's over. Not cooked. Let me not say cooked.
A lot of people have said cooked.
Yeah, I don't want to say cooked. I just want to say it's time for a fresh start for everybody.
Here's what I think about Brian Dumoulin. I think it is a good thing if they go with it, if they run with it again. We're 3 hours away from practice where we'll find out. If they run with giving him a reduced role, let's see what he does with that. I don't think you go immediately from saying, hey, we expect you to be our first pairing left defenseman to give us your 10-team no-trade list because you're out of here.
Right. But yeah, that is a jump.
But I do think, and we're only 9 games in, and it is what it is, and nobody looked good, particularly over the last 4. But Brian Dumoulin in particular did look bad. He was noticeably bad. And that's why he got demoted on Saturday night. That's why he might get demoted going forward. Let's see what he does in that reduced role. And if it doesn't get better, then you say, hey, listen, where the Penguins are at, and I didn't expect to be able, like, I've said this, not expecting it to ever happen. But on the last year of his deal, with only half the season, really, because whoever takes him on is going to be taking him on for the end of the year. If you trade him, it opens up a lot more when it comes to cap space for the Penguins, which $4.1 million off the books, and then having a left side that is Pettersson, who's making over 4, but P.O., who's making not that much money, and Ty Smith, who's making not that much money, it opens things up to maybe help on the forward side, or maybe even bring in another defenseman. I mean, that might be opened up because of what happens with Dumoulin out. I don't know if it's going to happen. I really don't.
Yeah.
Do I think that P.O. Joseph is the most likely to be traded? Yes, just because of where the Penguins are at right now.
Yeah.
Do I think he deserves it? No. I don't think he deserves it, just like I don't think Pettersson deserved to be demoted with Ruda, if that's indeed what happened. But if Brian Dumoulin does bump down in the lineup and is not able to play well, I think the Penguins have to at least approach the subject of trying to find a trade partner to offload Brian Dumoulin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the last thing I'll ask before we get out of here is, how high of a draft pick would you be willing to send off with him to offload him? Because that might be the case. You might have to send a draft pick in order to get him off the books.
So if we were to be sending out a first, I would want a piece back. Suddenly you talk about trading out a first. Suddenly you're like, okay, can we get a return too? Because do want.
It's not going to be a first.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a first. A second, I could get behind maybe, and depending on, like I said, some sort of small return, maybe a cheap prospect that we don't know it can pan out or not. Nothing. I feel like we can't bring back anything that is NHL worthy or expensive. It'll be difficult to find something like that. But if you trade out Brian Dumoulin, I am personally only thinking of benefiting the Penguins alone. So, like I said, if you send out Dumoulin, maybe if it's a third or a second pick, I'm looking for maybe a small prospect to come back. And if it's something lower, like if we end up somehow sending him out along with a fourth, fifth, we don't need anything back. That's fine. Have at it. That's the difficult part, though. Yeah.
In an era where the Penguins need as many draft picks as possible to help just kind of not make the post-Crosby era look that bad, I don't know what I would be willing to get rid of, but would I be happy if the Penguins traded Dumoulin for a conditional 7th? Dumoulin and a 5th for a conditional 7th to just get him off the books, open some space up, and make the team better. This is if he gets demoted in the lineup and still can't produce as a second pairing or third pairing defenseman. Yeah, that's a move that if you're Ron Hextall, it's hard to turn your nose away from, especially if Pettersson's continuing to play the way that he has, if P.O. Joseph steps up, and if Ty Smith is as good as we expect him to be once he gets to the NHL level. Then, yeah, you might be paying a little bit of a tax and not getting much back in order to get Brian Dumoulin off the books. And that's cleanly, of course. Like, we're not talking salary retention, because that conversation can go all day. But do I think he's the most likely? No, because I do still think it's P.O. Joseph, because right now, where the Penguins are at salary-wise, the business-wise of hockey, P.O. Joseph still, to me, is that guy that's right on the edge. And if he takes a dip in play, it'd be easy for them to just offload him because his value is also up. So I don't know. That's why it's close. That's why it's tied. Literally, the poll was tied because it's between those two guys. So I like it. I love it. And hopefully we get a winner in our next Pens poll. And hopefully the Pittsburgh Penguins can come away with a couple victories, because it's been a while since we've had a victory podcast. And